There's a specific kind of exhaustion that nobody really talks about. It's not the tiredness that comes from working too hard or sleeping too little. It's the kind that settles in after a long day at work when you're driving home or sitting in silence, and you realize that somewhere during the day you gave away a piece of yourself that you didn't mean to give. You said something you shouldn't have. You shared something personal. You opened a door that now you can't figure out how to close. And the worst part isn't what happened. The worst part is that quiet, uncomfortable feeling in your chest, like you handed someone a key to a room they were never supposed to enter. If you've ever felt that, this is for you. And first, I want you to know you're not weak for having done it. You're not naive. You're human. Most of us were never taught how to exist professionally among people who are not our friends but are not quite strangers either. That in-between space, the workplace, is one of the most psychologically complex environments a person can navigate. You spend more waking hours there than almost anywhere else. Relationships form, trust builds, and without realizing it, boundaries dissolve. You didn't fail. You just weren't given a map. Now here's where I want to challenge the way most people think about this. When someone says be careful what you share at work, most people hear, be cold, be distant, be fake. They imagine building a wall, and so they reject the advice entirely because it feels inhuman. But that's not what this is about. This isn't about being guarded. It's about being selective. There's a difference between a wall and a gate. A wall keeps everything out. A gate lets in what belongs and keeps out what doesn't. What you're building here is a gate, not armor. The workplace is not your enemy, but it is an ecosystem. And like any ecosystem, it has its own rules, its own pressures, and its own consequences for those who forget where they are. So what I want to offer you today is not a list of warnings. It's a framework, 15 categories of personal information, energy, and behavior that quietly cost people more than they realize when they bring them into the professional space. Think of it as 15 doors inside you. Not all of them need to stay closed forever, but most of them should stay closed at work. The first is your financial situation. It seems harmless, maybe even relatable, to mention that rent is crushing you, or that you're trying to pay off debt. People do it to connect. But the moment a coworker knows your financial vulnerability, something subtle shifts. You become, in their mind, someone who needs things. And people treat people who need things differently, sometimes with pity, sometimes with quiet leverage. Your financial pressure is yours to carry and yours to solve. Let it stay private. The second is your relationship struggles. When things are hard at home, the workplace can feel like a refuge. People are there, there's conversation, there's distraction. And it's tempting to let some of that pain bleed into small talk. But your relationship problems shared at work become currency. They get remembered, reshaped, and repeated. The colleague who listened with sympathy today may use that story tomorrow, not out of cruelty necessarily, but because people talk. And once that information is out, it takes on a life you can't control. The third is your ambitions. This one surprises people. Sharing your goals feels motivating, even brave. But in a competitive environment, your ambitions are a map of where you're headed, and some people will quietly work to make sure you don't get there. Not everyone, but enough. Keep your plans close. Let your results speak first. The fourth is your opinion of your boss. Even if every single person in that office agrees with you, the moment you say it out loud, you own it alone. Organizations have memories. What you say about leadership reaches leadership, not always immediately, not always directly, but it does. Your thoughts about management are not safe to externalize, no matter how trusted the person across from you seems. The fifth is your personal beliefs, religious, political, philosophical. These are not small things. They are the architecture of who you are. And when you place that architecture in a professional space, you invite judgment that has nothing to do with your competence. You will be seen through a lens you didn't choose. Protect the depth of who you are from environments that aren't designed to honor it. The sixth is your insecurities about your work. Everyone doubts themselves. Imposter syndrome is nearly universal. But voicing those doubts to a coworker, especially one who competes with you for the same recognition, is like showing someone exactly where to press to make you flinch. Self-awareness is a strength. Broadcasting it in the wrong room is a risk. The seventh is how much you dislike your job. Maybe you're miserable. Maybe you're counting the days. That's real and it's valid. But the workplace will not hold that truth kindly. You will be seen as uncommitted, as a liability, as someone already halfway out the door. And decisions quiet, invisible decisions will be made about you accordingly. The eighth is your health struggles, physical or mental. This one requires real gentleness because people often share health information out of genuine pain. But a workplace, no matter how progressive it claims to be, is rarely a safe container for that kind of vulnerability. You may be accommodated on paper and subtly sidelined in practice. Protect your health story until you know with evidence, not hope that it will be treated with dignity. The ninth is your loyalty to any one person or faction. Offices have their own invisible politics, alliances, rivalries, histories. When you align yourself too visibly with one person, you inherit all of their enemies. Stay centered. Be professional with everyone. Your loyalty belongs to your values, not to any single personality. The 10th is your weekend, your private life, your personal routines. This might sound extreme, but the more someone knows about your life outside work, the more access they have to you as a whole person. And the workplace doesn't need your whole person. It needs your professional self. Small amounts of personal sharing are fine and human. But your full life, your weekends, your family dynamics, your social world belongs to you. The 11th is how much you earn. In some cultures, this is becoming more open. But in most workplaces, salary information creates resentment, comparison, and tension that you will be expected to navigate long after the conversation ends. Even if fairness is the goal, the road there is rarely smooth, and you will carry the discomfort of it. The 12th is your job search. If you're looking, stay quiet. The moment this becomes known, your present role begins to end. Resources stop coming your way. Trust evaporates. Opportunities close. You have the right to look without announcing it. The 13th is your emotional reactions in the moment. When something unfair happens, and the impulse to react immediately is powerful. But the workplace rewards composure. The person who pauses, who doesn't perform their emotion in real time, is the person who is taken seriously. Let yourself feel everything. Just choose carefully when and where you express it. The 14th is your worst day. Everyone has days that break them a little. Days when the grief or the anxiety or the overwhelm sits right at the surface. On those days, the instinct to lean on whoever is nearby is understandable. But your lowest moments deserve spaces built for holding them: a therapist, a real friend, a trusted person who exists outside the ecosystem of your career. Your worst day is not content for the office. And the 15th, and perhaps the most quietly powerful, is your uncertainty about yourself. Not just professional uncertainty, but the deeper kind. The questions you ask in the dark about who you are, what you want, whether you're on the right path. These questions are sacred. They are not for a break room conversation or a casual lunch. They belong to the part of your life where real growth happens. Guard them. None of this is about becoming less of yourself. It's about understanding that different environments call for different versions of your openness. You can be warm, genuine, and connected at work, and still keep the most essential parts of yourself protected. That's not a contradiction. That's wisdom. The truth is, you will not get this perfect. There will still be moments where you share too much, trust too fast, or open a door you later wish you'd kept shut. That's part of being human in a complicated world. But awareness changes things. Once you understand what costs you, you start making different choices, quieter choices, steadier ones. Your energy is not unlimited. Your privacy is not a luxury. And your peace, especially in a place where you spend so much of your life, is worth protecting with intention. You don't need to be loud about any of this. The strongest boundaries are the ones people don't even see. They just feel in the way you carry yourself, in the way you don't flinch, in the way you walk out at the end of the day with something still intact that belongs entirely to you. That quiet wholeness, that's what you're protecting, and it's worth it.